Talk to us about what's unfolding as we speak, Sean.
Well, part of the challenge is the simple maths. We're concerned about will we be able to get everybody out, given there's only a 24-hour window before the ceasefire, exactly as Alex was talking about. And the maths doesn't quite add up at the moment. They've had 3 flights out. They are C-130 Hercules, generally carries about 120 people, 140 at squeeze, max number of 400 people so far coming out. But actually, only 2/3 of that number have actually appeared on the ground at Cyprus. Part of the answer for that is the RAF is operating out of the Wadi Seidna airbase up to the north, to the west of the Nile there, which is some way north of Khartoum International Airport. Now, because of the threat, the C-130s will not want to hang around on the ground. They will literally land, pile the people in the back who are there and get airborne again. They won't be waiting for a full aircraft. They'll just be taking whoever's there. So almost certainly this is not actually about the capacity of the aircraft to get people out. It's whether or not the nationals can actually make their way up to the airbase or whether they've actually chosen a different choice of how to get out. Because the airbase there is about 25 kilometres north. That's as the crow flies. But as you can see, to get across the river, and then through the tortuous network of blockades and stuff like that, it's incredibly difficult. And with 2,000 to 3,000 foreign nationals there, just do the maths, it's very unlikely they'll get in 24 hours. The but, though, here is the footage we've been seeing of RAF deployed personnel on the ground at the airbase means that we are actually potentially providing some perimeter defence here. Yes, there'll be some medics, yes, there'll be some admin there, but they're also providing a degree of protection. And there may be the opportunity that because this is some way north of where the fighting is, that the British government judges that actually we can provide enough security here to continue the air bridge even when the ceasefire ends, because frankly the warring factions will be having goes at each other and not at this airbase. Remains to be seen.
So when we're talking about thousands of UK nationals inside Sudan, the government's talking about getting hundreds out. 301 at the moment is the latest figure we're hearing. It could be to do with the treacherous journeys, the danger involved in getting to any places where evacuations are taking place. But in terms of the government doing what it can to provide an evacuation for numbers if they can reach there, could they provide bigger planes? I know it sounds very simplistic, but when we're talking about getting big numbers out in quite a tight time frame now, unless they extend that ceasefire, is that possible?
It definitely is. I mean, the choice of aircraft you have, whether civilian or military or even a spectrum of military, is all based on the state of the runway, the risk involved. If we have a look at Khartoum, which is the international airport at the moment, you know, it's a big, well-found base and it's fantastic. But you'd only have to look, this is the 18th of April. This is the fighting that's going on so close. And since then, the warring factions have been trying to take control of this. So stray bullets, explosions, that is nowhere that you'd be wanting to operate civilian aircraft. If you look at Wadi Seidna, by the runway, from a military perspective, is a patchwork of different repairs. It is not the same quality. It will have a load of debris on it in various spots. They don't sweep it regularly. And if you remember, most civilian aircraft have their engines under the wing. That risks sucking up stuff from the ground. Most military tactical aircraft have them on top of the wing so they can operate in this sort of environment. So for the civilian aircraft, more capacity, but this is not the place for them. From a military perspective, they also have defensive aid suites. They have a military crews who are used to operating in high-threat environments. And the MOD will have done a risk and a vulnerability assessment and decided that the Hercules and the A400M are the right platforms. The challenge is how many are available. If it becomes an issue of capacity, then what they can do is turn down the wick on the way they're supplying Ukraine at the moment, obviously backwards and forwards with weapons, bullets and people, and actually turn up the wick for Sudan. But that's all about supply and demand, and we'll have to wait and see what happens there.
Yeah, it's still very much a fluid situation. But what are the other options in terms of if people can't get to an airbase or it becomes too dangerous? Is there options of going into bordering countries? What about sea? What about ships?
Well, the first one to look at is they talked about why don't people go into Khartoum? Why don't we put British soldiers in there, pluck people out and take them out? That will be incredibly dangerous. There's already 2 different forms of warring factions in military uniform. By all accounts, there's lots of people who are looting, there's lots of trouble, it's lawlessness. To actually put another military organisation, that would be incredibly risky, not only for our military, but also the people they were trying to escort. That's not an option. Driving is an option. Some of them are driving north to Egypt. That's one of the options to get out the country. Part of the challenge there is that there's roadblocks and also how to get hold of fuel. Incredibly difficult there. The other one that's probably going to be create volume is is via sea, via Port Sudan here, because other nations have already taken out people from there. The Royal Navy is already looking at taking Lancaster, Type 23 frigate, and also the Cardigan Bay, both of which could carry hundreds, if not into the thousands of people. But again, we're talking about 500 miles of travel. So for the time being, it looks almost certainly, I think the focus will be on the air bridge, not only because it can be done quickly, but whilst they can balance that risk versus benefit, they'll continue to get people out using that air bridge out to Cyprus.
OK, Sean, thank you. As we said, that ceasefire ending tomorrow at midnight really is a race against time for those UK nationals inside Sudan. Thank you for the moment.